Kia ora, Kiwi Codger here, and welcome to episode 65, Hongi Invades Whangaroa, Part 1. Now, I've done a number of mini-series on Hongi Hika, but this will be my last for him. So let's quickly have a look at where he features in the Musket Wars. We first hear of him in the 1807 battle against Ngāti Whātua at Moromanui. At this defeat, he is aged 34, so in his prime. With many Ngāpuhi chiefs slain, Hongi becomes the battle chief for Ngāpuhi. It's a brilliant choice. In 1820, aged 48, he goes to England and returns with many muskets. In 1821, he invades Tamaki Makaurau and decimates Ngāti Pawa along the Tamaki River. In 1822, he invades the Waikato and at Mātakitaki puts those tribes to flight. In 1823, it's the same, and he invades the Rohe of Te Aroa with his culminating victory at Mokoia Island. In 1824, he stays home in the bay. In 1825, he joins Whare Umu to get revenge on Ngāti Whātua for Ngāpuhi's defeat at Moromanui 18 years before. This time, at Te Ika Ranganui, they are victorious. Ngāti Whātua are decimated. The remnants are pursued into the Waikato. Around the same time, the ship Mercury enters Whangaroa harbour. It's harassed and finally overwhelmed and plundered. On Hongi's return, he is angry to learn of the Mercury. With the Boyd in 1809, the Endeavour in 1824, and now the Mercury, he is angry at Ngāti Po and Ngāti Uru's treatment of European shipping and its effect on scaring ships away. He threatens Whangaroa Maori in the middle of 1825, but no war breaks out. Hongi's lineage is intertwined with many in the Whangaroa area, but relations are deteriorating rapidly. During 1826, the plan of invading Whangaroa has been growing. The disturbing of one of his ancestors' bones, Koroa, entombed on Taratara, is the last straw. He decides to subdue and occupy the Whangaroa area. The Reverend Samuel Marsden is continually urging Hongi to give up war. Hongi replies that if he were to do so, his warriors would leave him and follow another. Perhaps this is part of the reason also. After all, it's 21 months since Te Ika Ranganui. In the last few days of 1826, his forces start gathering at Tauranga Bay near the entrance to Whangaroa harbour. Now, Whangaroa is off the beaten track, so let's drone the harbour and surrounds and get the lay of the land and the places that will feature in the invasion. I'll give some commentary as we go. Let's first have a quick look at Google Earth and then we'll take off. The Whangaroa Harbour is the next harbour up from the Bay of Islands. The harbour entrance is quite small and is guarded by Whiti Tata and Kohutu Papa. On entering the harbour, you have Pakapaka Bay to the west. This bay is occupied by the Kai Tangata Hapu, a sub-tribe of Ngāti Po. Their main pa are Okahumoko and Opore. Along the southern coast of the bay are spectacular rock formations including Kaiarara or the Duke's Nose. Heading south into the harbour, you are faced with Ohauroropa on what is today called Peach Island. And over here we have Wairaupo Island. As you come down the western side of the harbour, you pass Hope Kakopa, also known as St. Peter's, and on the opposite shore, the imposing Ohakiripa, also known as St. Paul's. We have Waitaruki Pa here, and on the shore is Pinea. The formidable Pa Taratara dominates the view to the southwest. We have Whangaroa Pa here, and located in Kaio is Pohue Pa. Across the Kaio River is the Wesleyan mission station, started in 1823. In 1826, there are 3 Anglican mission stations in the Bay of Islands, in Rangihoa, Kerikeri and Paihia. So let's get into the year. On Google Earth, we're heading up here and we'll come back here and across here. Okay, so here we are. We've just taken off from Ohakiri and we're heading up the harbour towards the harbour entrance. Now, in the mid-distance there is Waiaraupo Island, and to its left, the wonderful Peach Island, or Oharoro, on which is Oharoro Pa. Now, the Whangaroa harbour was the scene in December 1809 of the Boyd massacre. The ship the Boyd had left from Port Jackson, Sydney, on its way back to England, and had called into this harbour to get spars to help pay for the trip. On board were 75 Europeans. The ship was taken over by Maori, and the Europeans were killed and eaten. There were about 4 survivors, I believe. What I'll organise to do is put a link to a video if you want to look into that story more. In front of us is Peach Island. Now, the Boyd, when it came in, anchored probably to the south on this side of the island, and Maori approached it to trade, but in the end they took over the ship. The ship then drifted down the harbour to a place called Red Island, or Motowai, where it was accidentally sunk when the magazine was set on fire. On board the Boyd were 2 cannons, 2 9-pound cannons, and 8 12-pound carronades. These were all recovered, and the 2 cannons were placed on this island that we're now looking at here to guard the entrance to their pa on Oharoro. What an incredible rock. That will feature in our invasion. Now, looking out to the harbour mouth, we have Whititata Pa and Kohutu Pa, and to the west we have Peka Bay. We're in Peka Bay, looking back towards the harbour that we've just flown over, and as we come along the southern bank of Peka Bay, we see these wonderful rock formations. All, I'm sure, have been used over the centuries as refuge pa. One of the famous rocks coming up you can walk to, there's a track that takes you there. It's to the Duke's Nose, or Kaiara Arab, right in front of us there. This bay is home to the Kaitangata hapu, or the cannibal hapu, which is a sub-hapu of Ngāti Po. In the distance is the conical Oporai Pa, and down to our right is the Pa Okahumoko. Now we're going to come back down the bay, and we're looking there at Hope Kako Pa, St. Peter's, and as we traverse across, we'll see Ohakiri sitting above Whangaroa township. In the far, far distance is Taratara. This is Waitaruki Pa at the bottom end of the harbour. And as we pan around, we'll come to the Pinea area, which features in our story. Here we are a little back out in the water, looking back to where we were. And over here is to our right, where it's the Waihapa Inlet. This inlet goes for quite some way inland to almost Taratara Pa, where there are various mangrove areas up there. These were taken in the morning, this drone trip. The ones previous were taken in the previous afternoon. Lovely the way the mist settles into the little valleys. And here's the mighty Taratara. This is the Refuge Pa, and many of the people, the ancient people of Whangaroa, their bones ended up on caves on this manga and in crannies. So the Refuge Pa of Taratara, where people would go to escape danger. Here we have Whangaroa Pa. This is the home, or this will be the home for Hongi during most of 1827. The pa runs down the slopes here. You can see the earthworks quite clearly. And at the base will be the kāinga and fields for growing various crops. We now moved over a little bit to Kaio, and the pa here, Pohue Pa, is the home of Te Puhi and the Ngāti Uru. Te Puhi is given his protection to the Wesleyan mission, which you see houses in the distance there. Well, that's where the Wesleyan mission was. All these mission stations were normally under the watchful eye of a pa, both for protection and so that the chief could keep a bit of an eye on what the hang they were up to. So the houses there, slightly on the right, is the sort of rough area where the Wesleyan mission was. And in the foreground, a little bit just down from them, is a cairn erected by local iwi to commemorate the Wesleyan mission, Wesleydale, formed in 1823. Here we are back in the Bay of Islands, and this is Rangihaua Pa, and this is the site in the distance there of the first Anglican mission station set up by Marsden in 1814. It was under the original patronage of Ruatara, but he died quite early, and Hongi took over the protection of the Anglican missions. So this was the first one, 1814. It's at the northern end of the Bay of Islands, a place called Hoey. That's Hoey Beach along there. Here we are at Kerikeri. Kerikeri River to our left is the second mission station. This was established in 1819. And there's the Kemp House and, of course, the stone building. And this is the kāinga for the Kororipo Pa. And you can see the mission station there. And just downriver a little bit is Kororipo Pa. This is Hongi's main pa. Hongi would occupy various pa depending on what he was up to. This has a tremendous ditch at the front of it there that you can sort of see that first ditch. This is where to return after many of his expeditions south. This place witness some horrific scenes. And the third mission station is at Pinea, but alas, really we can't drone at Pinea. The relationship between the Anglicans and the Wesleyans is excellent, like that of brothers. The Catholics will not come to New Zealand for another 11 years. The Anglican mission stations have the overall protection of Hongi Hika, with the local chiefs providing day-to-day protection. Hongi is a strong, fit 54-year-old who still commands immense mana. In the last few days of 1826, the beach at Tauranga Bay witnesses the gathering of his forces. Everyone in Whangaroa is aware he is coming. They make preparations. Some flee to Hokianga. Either way, time is now short. Okay, folks, that's where we'll leave part 1. The book Tribal Guns and Tribal Gunners by Trevor Bentley is my main source, but I will put other sources below. Because missionaries are involved, we get accurate dates for the events that will unfold. Just a reminder about the invite to the 200th commemoration of Hongi's attack on Mokoia Island, scheduled for the 25th and 26th of March 2023 in Rotorua. The link to the video is below. Well, that's it from me. I look forward to your company for part 2 when things start heating up. But until then, hei kona, take it easy.